So 9 countries in one room in Bali. We're both from different countries, and I think we're all still speaking the same language. So this was amazing. It was amazing to have you doing this with me.
That's something that I think people struggle with, including myself. And I had a really hard time knowing when was enough. And so I can't stand up here and say, yeah, I chose to retire at this time because I had this amount of 25 times my expenses, or whatever the rule of thumb you want to use. The universe really pulled my trigger for me. I had some family health issues and dealing with my own mental health. I just was in a position where the universe was basically pushing me like, hey, come on, like you need to go home and slow down.
Trust your gut. Your gut is always going to protect you, and it's always going to help you make decisions. And I think that's the most important. I believed that money was complicated. And then I discovered Choose FI and Bigger Pockets. I think I exclusively only listened to American podcasts. Then I found yours too. And that just gave me the confidence, actually. So trust your gut, get yourself informed. And you can always correct the path that you're on if you make a wrong decision.
Don't delay gratification forever. Most FI people think about running out of money a lot more than they think about running out of life.
You left us with a deep one there.
In the 5 months that I've already taken off. And when I think about it, I actually have lived several lifetimes, because at work, I get 4 weeks of paid annual leave, 20 days paid. Well, I did get 20 days paid annual leave a year, which is 4 weeks. But 2 of those weeks I'd usually spend, going to travel to see my husband's family in Spain. So usually it's just 2 weeks a year. And I've just spent 11 weeks in Europe. So I have lived several lifetimes in the past 5 months, and it's been fucking amazing. It's been the best thing I've ever done.
Wow.
It really has.
I mean, that is pretty powerful.
Welcome to Catching Up to FI, a podcast on mindset, money, and life for late starters of any age on their journey to financial independence. I'm Bill, and I'm a late starter.
I'm Jackie, and I'm also a late starter, and we're your host. We're here to help you on your journey to financial independence, no matter where you're starting.
We're going to talk to experts, other late starters, and explore topics related to our mission.
Join us as we catch up to FI together. Okay, well, welcome to Catching Up to FI. Guess what? We are live from Bali, and this bald guy is not my regular co-host, Bill Yant. Bill, I miss you, but I've got even a better, younger co-host and no hair. So I've got Captain FI with me, and he is an Aussie from... That means you're from Australia.
Yeah, Australia.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is so much fun. So, Amy Minkley, this is year number 3. Yeah, this is so amazing. We are live, guys. We almost never do this super live with an audience right here, a stand-in co-host that's even better than my normal co-host. But what we're going to do today, we're going to talk a little bit about the retreat, the FI Freedom Retreat. We're going to talk about Bali, how wonderful it is, and just this whole experience about financial independence, doing in-person events, making connections, building relationships, and just making your FI journey even that much better. So how you want to get started, Captain FI?
That's a good question. I hadn't really thought about it. Look, yeah, I guess first of all, we'll just say a massive thanks to Amy for putting this together, and also to Mia and Kim.
Yes, those are her great, I would call them co-hosts. Yeah, they're your co-hosts. Here's the thing. I know you travel a lot, Captain FI, and all the people that's here, I want to thank them for being so kind and helping, honestly, a non-traveler like me. I went to Thailand 2 years ago. Other than that, I have barely been overseas. It's crazy. So these people have come all the way to Bali, Indonesia, to really celebrate themselves, celebrate FI, and to kind of extend their journey to new heights. And for me, it is so cool to see how comfortable everybody is. And Amy held our hand the entire way. So if you've never been to a FI in-person event, go to one. even if it's local in the US. If you really want to go big, then Five Freedom Retreat is definitely the one to do. Amy steps you through everything. She used to be an international school teacher. She's retired early, and she loved the Phi community and decided to put this retreat together. And she has a spreadsheet for everything. We had a million questions. She had Zoom meetings. I mean, for one, Amy, I absolutely appreciate and love that you did that. You took a lot of stress off of me by doing that. So I want to appreciate you for that. I want to appreciate everybody that's been here. We've had great conversations with people, right?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And like, as someone who I've always been pretty private in my approach to fire, I haven't really been to a lot of these events. I think this is number 2 for me. We got Brenda in the audience from Australia, and she hosted a fire event in Australia called Fire Spark, and she convinced me to come down, and it was awesome. And then so when Amy reached out and invited me here, I was like, yeah, I'm down. This is great. So it's been really different.
So Captain Phi, what has been your experience being here? You said this was number 2 for you?
Yeah, it's the second time. It's been awesome. Like we mentioned before, Amy has just got such an attention to detail, and she's just made it so easy to come here. And you know, I have my 6-month-old daughter, my wife have accompanied us here.
Cute. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you brought her.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous to see, you know, how we go on the flight, and it was great. She sort of slept the whole way, which was nice. And yeah, I think my wife has really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think she's had about 6 massages. I'm still waiting for my first one.
Me too. That's one of the great things about Bali. I need to get a massage.
Yeah.
Who's gotten a massage here?
Yeah, I see a lot of hands up.
Every hand went up in the room.
Yeah, all right. I'll get on that tomorrow. Yeah. No, it's been absolutely wonderful. And I guess I was approached by Amy to come to the retreat and to give a talk. And so when I was thinking about the retreat, I was kind of thinking of it like, oh, well, I'm here to give knowledge. And I wasn't necessarily realizing just how much knowledge I was going to receive. And like wow, it's been a really powerful week so far, really moving, some of the speeches. And your presentation, Jackie, was fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of my money egg. I posted that up on my Facebook, and yeah.
I should probably explain what the money egg is. So the money egg exercise, I went back and got my master's in financial therapy, and a lot of the professors that came from the psychology domain, and boy, they had us reaching really deep into our memories, our feelings, and all this. I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be class, but one of the most powerful exercises was called the money egg, and it was basically where you draw this large egg, and then you start to put the memories that you have from childhood from the bottom, and you use your non-dominant hand to start to, which you cheated. You used your dominant,
hey,
but
if you're not cheating, you're not winning.
Yeah, right. It looked too perfect. I'm like, come on now. But that was okay. That wasn't the point of the exercise. The point was to sort of draw these little memories, no matter how ugly they were or how pretty in your case. And then you would go back and you would put a plus if the memory was positive, and then a negative sign if the memory was negative. And generally, there's a little bit of both. And we had people to come up and kind of share it. But it was amazing how you start to reach back and remember certain things. And I thought the coolest part was that when we look at it through the lens of an adult you or an adult me, you kind of might see things that happen a little differently than when you remembered it as a child. So I'm glad you enjoyed that exercise. Yeah. But I loved your talk as well. You got us thinking. Now, you did tell us a little bit about yourself. So can you tell us a little bit about Captain Phi, your blog, your podcast, because you're doing some good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie. And just be prepared to get that chime to chime me off when I talk for too long. Yeah, so look, I heard about Phi. I'm going to say maybe like 2015, 2016. And I was in a point in my career where I guess I finally had like a significant amount of disposable income. I had spent my previous professional years pursuing a career goal as a pilot, and I had basically been throwing all of my money into that. So any money I could earn, any side hustle I could do, and I've done a few side hustles, so I can definitely give some tips on what does and doesn't work. Yeah, I think it's a bit scary to say, but it was over $300,000 in the end. But like, it was awesome, led me into my professional aviation career. But I found myself in a position with disposable income. And it sounds a bit flippant, but like, I couldn't spend it. My money habits from my upbringing and also from my adult life, where I was scrimping and saving everything to go into paying my flying lessons, and I didn't want a HEX debt. I didn't want to take student loans. And so those behaviors were so reinforced that it's actually been something that I'm still working on, is adopting that abundance mentality and being able to freely spend. And that came up in James's lesson.
Yeah, another one of our speakers, James. And that comes up a lot in the Thai community. We are all about accumulation. We spend and we save. And then when it comes to the other side and drawing down, I had a little difficult too. I've been retired for 6 years and I still am probably more conservative than I should be. So it's kind of cool to hear. Again, that's like this borderless idea that it doesn't matter where you're from, these concepts are still the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was amazing. And like I said, I just wasn't expecting to learn so much and get so much value out of this. But sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. I'll go back to my origins. Yeah, so I started learning online and I think I first discovered this concept of personal finance through the Barefoot Investor, Scott Pape. And he's the down under version of Dave Ramsey. And he's probably going to be offended if he hears that. But no, love what he's doing. And he keeps it nice, simple steps. And as I worked through the steps, I found myself growing impatient. That's my kind of personality. I like to maybe overdo things from time to time. And so, I discovered online this world of fire bloggers. So Mr. Money Mustache really found that was really aligned to a lot of my core values, especially around efficiency and, saving. And, it was really exciting to see this community really rallying around this concept of financial freedom. And it really appealed to me as a way to regain that personal power, regain that personal control of my life and the time freedom. And so I was hooked and I found them all. There are hundreds of awesome authors, publishers, podcasters.
Yeah, I saw a lot out there.
Yeah. And so I loved Mr. Money Mustache, loved the Mad Scientist. And then, for anyone who's interested in some of the FI down under, we have like Dave Gower from Strong Money Australia, Aussie Firebug, like there's heaps, right? And so I was really inspired, and similar to how I think the Mad Scientist and the Aussie Firebug, they were actually publishing to keep accountable their net wealth journeys. And I deliberately say net wealth and not net worth because I don't like the term net worth. I'm probably guilty of using it from time to time, but I think you should really decouple your sense of worth from your financial health.
Oh, excellent point. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so I was publishing my net wealth updates. And as I would learn more about FIRE, I would publish it. It's almost like crowdsourcing your financial advice, right? So people always joke that if you ask for help, you get crickets. But if you just post on Facebook, a triangle has 4 sides, you're going to get all these people telling you, no, it's, So anyway, so I was raw. I published all my data. I published my investment strategy and, it got critiqued. And I'm going to say my initial investing strategy wasn't great. It was like stock picking based off stock tipping group, right?
So like individual stocks.
Yeah, individual stocks. And I think my first ever lesson was I bought a company. It's an egg farm. I think it's called Farm Pride. And I love puns. I'm a dad. So the egg.
That's why you did so good at that egg.
Well, the egg was on my face when that stock dropped 50%. And anyway, so as I learned more and more about it, I became really passionate about index investing. As I said, I tried a bunch of different side hustles. So I started some online business. I've done a little bit of property development. And so I keep a bit of a mix of assets at the moment. And I reached FIRE in, I want to say, I think it was Star Wars Day in 2022, May the 4th.
How old were you?
Hang on. So it is 2025 now. I got to be honest, sometimes I don't even know what day it is, right? That's the benefit of Fi.
Yeah, well, and having a 6-month-old too.
Yeah. Sleep is a luxury right now. So, okay, so it was 2022. So I think that would have made me like 32.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's give him an applause. 32. I didn't realize you were that young. 32. That is awesome. That is so cool. And so when did you start Captain Fi, the podcast and the blog?
Yeah, y'all, it's funny. I was actually talking about this in one of the breakout sessions today. It started because a friend of mine, well, his wife did a web development course, which we all thought sounded like a bit scammy, right? Anyway, she did amazing out of it, and she was building websites for local businesses. And so me and my mate were like, oh, well, if she can do it, maybe she can show us and we can start one. And so we actually started an aviation blog because that was my profession and I knew a bit about it. And then that was when I was, I think it was like 2018 or 2019, I was getting really excited about Fire. And I thought, well, I'm just going to clone this website. So I literally just cloned it. And then I just changed the colors and the URL, and it worked. And so, I just solely had to change the articles from how to fly a plane to how to save money.
Well, there you go. Keep it simple, right?
Yeah. And so actually it wasn't Captain Fi. It was, and this is funny because, maybe this is like a political thing. It used to be called Get Fired.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like Get Fired. And then, I think...
Well, you loved having the aviation theme.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. So yeah, I kept the aviation theme and I was anonymous and I'd still, I guess I would say semi-anonymous now.
Keep your secret.
Yeah, okay. Like even this video, right? Like I was always hiding and not doing videos.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, great.
Well, and
we got the video on it because you're like, are we recording video? I'm like, let's try it.
And it was like a HR thing, right? Because I was nervous that my work would find out because I'd read a lot of times there's people who, they'd let their fire plans out and HR clocks on, it's all of a sudden no more promotions for you. Right. You know what I mean? No more good trips for you. And so maybe it's an irrational fear, but I did like kind of keeping it private. So I'm slowly coming out of the bag. And that's what I mean. Like, it's been lovely here to, meet people.
So since you left your job, you just aren't that concerned?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You're talking about like, when was I fine? And it was a bit of a sliding scale. And in my talk, I sort of mentioned this concept of pulling the trigger, like when is enough? And that's something that I think people struggle with, including myself. And I had a really hard time knowing when was enough. And so I can't stand up here and say, I chose to retire at this time because I had this amount of 25 times my expenses or whatever the rule of thumb you want to use. The universe really pulled my trigger for me. I had some family health issues and dealing with my own mental health. I just was in a position where the universe was basically pushing me like, hey, come on, like you need to go home and slow down. And so I did. And for a couple of years, I sort of enjoyed that slower life. It was amazing to reconnect with family and look after my mom as she went through palliative care. And then I found myself, I guess, after her death, really lacking in direction and feeling sort of floating. And one thing I always wanted to do was raise a family, and I always want to be an awesome dad, and I always want to have a hobby farm. I love animals and I love plants. And so about 18 months ago, which was, maybe 2 years into of being Fi, I did the unthinkable, Jackie. I liquidated my shares.
Okay, you sold all your index funds?
My emotional support portfolio, as I like to refer to it, the Fi portfolio. I sold it all, and I used it as down payment on a hobby farm.
Oh my gosh!
And it was so scary, but it's the best thing I've ever done.
You did it.
Yeah. And so I feel like a little bit of an imposter because I'm not really Fire anymore because I have a mortgage now. I owe the bank $500,000 and they want their $4,000 a month. But so I probably identify as Coast Fi now. Yeah. So anyway, that's a bit about me. We're in Brisbane, Queensland. Like I say, I've got this beautiful daughter, amazing wife. And I'm just sort of enjoying that slow life Lots of mowing, got a beautiful ride-on mower. It's my pride and joy. It's actually worth about 4 times what my car is worth.
Well, yeah, I can tell you it's been absolutely fun getting to know you and some of the crazy things that you've done, but they're like crazy fun. And they have, I can tell you just have this aura about you where you are in such a wonderful place in your life and you're not caught up with labels. So what if you don't consider yourself fire or whatever because you have a mortgage? You've got the beautiful child that you wanted, the daughter, you get to hang out in Bali, which gets me back to we're live in Bali. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get to the fun part. Yeah. We are going to talk to real people that are here at the 5 Freedom Retreat. This is going to be so much fun. We've gotten to know a lot of them. Amazing. Like you said, so many of them way smarter than us. And so we definitely want to get their story. And so let's talk to our first guest. How about that?
Hey, Jackie, guess what? We got a new sponsor for the show.
Yeah, I am very excited about our sponsor, thealloymarket.com. It came to us through our partnership with the Financial Influencers Network. And what they do is help amplify the stuff that we're talking about and getting us with great partners like the Alloy Market.
Yeah, the Alloy Market has a great story. The founder had a medical emergency, needed to take a break from his job, but needed to keep himself afloat. He had some inherited gold and silver or platinum. He sold it, but he wasn't sure how to do it. He didn't know where to go, and he's not sure he got good prices. The Alloy Market buys your gold, silver, and platinum for excellent prices and helps you declutter.
Yeah, that is so cool. So, Bill, I am going to put this new sponsor through the test. So I forgot I had this little gold bar. About 10 years ago, a friend gave this to me, and it's 2.5 grams. So I am going to go online and get the kit that they offer and see how much I can get. Supposedly, they give you a lot more, at least 70% of what the spot price is. So I'm looking forward to that. But a long time ago, Bill, this didn't exist. And my old wedding ring, I had that thing around forever. I'm all about decluttering. So when I finally got rid of it, the only option I had was to go to like a pawn shop or something, sometimes a sketchy part of town. I don't even know if I got a good deal. So I am looking forward to Alloy and checking out their process. And you should probably check it out too.
Yeah, Jackie, we're very happy to have the Alloy Market as a partner. I look forward to finding out how your test goes.
Yeah, just go to thealloymarket.com. That's TheAlloymarket.com. So you can do the same thing, and I will give you an update on what I got for my 2.5 grams of gold.
Yeah, that's thealloymarket.com. That's TheAlloymarket.com. Look for it in the show notes.
Okay, so the first audience member we've got here is Claire, and Claire has come to Bali all the way from
Dubai.
I thought you were from Ireland. What's going on?
I am from Ireland, but I've spent a long time overseas, and I left Ireland at the age of 18. And then I moved to Germany. I was in Germany, the UK, back to Germany, so probably for about 14 years. And then from Germany, I said, enough of Germany. I even said to my then German husband, I'm only going to be here for 2 years. And after like 14 years, I said, enough, we're going to Australia. So then I went to Australia for 8.5 years. And I actually planned to stay in Australia for the rest of my life. But then things took a bit of a change. And so that's why I ended up going back to Germany. But that was, 10 years ago. And I think you know a little bit about the history of that I ended up kind of losing everything 10 years ago, and I had to start over. And I'm really lucky that the company that I started working for, that they offered me a position in Dubai. And then I went to Dubai, and I'm in Dubai now 8 years.
Wow, that is an incredible story. And we've obviously chatted like over lunch, and like I got to say, I am just blown away by Claire. Like her work ethic and just resilience to rebuild her life and to buy a property back home and to build up a huge investment portfolio. It's inspiring. So like, I think round of applause for Claire. So, Claire, how did you get to be here in Bali? Have you been to a FI event before?
No, I've never been to a FI event, but I have listened to Amy Minkley on Choose FI, even bigger pockets. And do you know what I did last weekend? You're going to laugh. I said, I have to prepare for my retreat. And I walked in Dubai, probably about 8 kilometers last Saturday, listening to all of Amy's interviews on Spotify, just prepping me for all. But no, actually, it really resonated with me because you did an interview, Amy, where you talked about Bali being your personal healing. And I reached out to you originally to say, hey, something really resonated with me, and I never reach out to anybody via email. And then suddenly, I think it was within a month after I'd reached out to you that a position or a space had freed up. And I went, the universe is telling me something. I have to go. And then I remember being in my car in Dubai, came out of yoga. I got this in my inbox and I went, that's it. I have to contact her. That position, that place is mine and nobody else is going to get it. So that's why I'm here.
I absolutely love that. And I got to spend some time with you. Now, what stuck in my head was when you were saying you had to start over. Yeah. So our podcast is catching up to FI, and we have a lot of late starters that had to start over. And I just wonder, what was your experience like, waking up and saying, wow, I got to do this all over again? Because it can be very defeating, and a lot of people carry a lot of, shame and regret and things like that. But you obviously overcame it, and you're in Bali today. Tell us a little bit about that restart.
It was terrifying. I mean, I will never forget learning that my marriage was over. I had just come back from Australia. I had no job. I had no money. I just thought, what am I going to do? So I have to say that was really, for me, I just didn't know where to start. I think I said yesterday, what was really important for me in that year, I just knew how to breathe. I just knew how to breathe. And something would happen and I had to just find a job. And I just knew if I could find a job, I could start getting out of my head and start earning money and start finding my way forward, even if the job wasn't the right job. And I did get interviews and it's really funny, I got interviews and my gut says this is not the right job. And then I don't want to go into the industry that I'm in, otherwise people might recognize. So anyway, there was one company that they were looking for someone, and I said, that's actually perfect for me because I really like to work internationally. And I said, that's it, that's the one for me. And oh no, I actually have to back. I went driving in the countryside in Germany one weekend and I looked at this company. I said, this is a company I'm going to work for. That was it. And I specifically ran out looking for jobs that they were going to offer. And I applied and said, that's it. That's my job. So I think it's not really manifestation, but I felt like I pulled it to me, that job. And so, yeah, that's kind of changed my life. So it did.
That's fantastic. And I'm a believer in that the universe works in mysterious ways.
I agree.
Coming from, an engineering background, I had a very technical job and it was all very numbers and procedure based. And some of the experiences I've had, and even like in fire, I'm learning it's not really about the numbers, is it? It's more about the feelings and the emotions. But interesting. Look, Claire, if you could pass on one lesson to our listeners today, what would you tell them?
Trust your gut. Your gut is always going to protect you and it's always going to help you make decisions. And I think that's the most important. I believed that money was complicated. And then I discovered Choose FI and Bigger Pockets. I think I exclusively only listened to American podcasts. Then I found yours too. And that just gave me the confidence, actually. So trust your gut, get yourself informed. And you can always correct the path that you're on if you make a wrong decision. That's it.
Well, I'd like to get to some fun stuff. Okay. You have been in Bali for how many days? You came in a little early.
Friday.
Okay. So tell me about some of the fun stuff you did and what was your favorite?
The fun stuff I did. late night conversations last night with Kim over adult drinks. No, that's just really nice. And I think that's what I learned about being here on a retreat. It's the sideline conversations. It's the breakout groups where you go a bit deeper. And I think I had to get my head around that on day one, going, oh, it's the side stuff that's really where you do a lot of learning. And I think with the presenters, they're challenging your thought process with the slides that you're going through, but you get a lot of everything, but you get more personal in the breakouts. Is that fair to say? Yeah.
Well, I just had to hear, the things that you enjoyed the most, and glad to hear that, the speakers, there was also really good exercises, Captain Fi and James, and even the stuff that Amy was doing. Oh yeah. Today we had the great PKP, the nonprofit that Amy supports, and we had the young ladies dancing. I love that. Did you enjoy that today?
I have an idea. There's lots of people that are nomadic, and I feel that it's such a good cause that there has to be something within the Fi community that people are traveling can actually stop and get involved in these communities. And I feel there's something in there that we can add more purpose to our travels by helping out and working with younger people to help them get ahead. Because, like everybody only knows what they know, but people that travel gain a much wider and deeper experience. And I feel that we've all got more to give. The more we see, the more we have to give, right?
Right. I think that's beautiful. And it made an impression on me as well. And of course, Amy has talked multiple times about this organization. And it was just nice that was a part of our visit here. We weren't just tourists sucking up everything we can with the cheap stuff here, whatever. We have been giving back. We got to appreciate the culture, and just seeing it firsthand to me really made a difference. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So Claire, thank you so much for joining us. This was amazing, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Michael with us now. Now, Michael has been to a lot of different places. You are from the U.S., is that right?
I am. Yep.
Yeah. So met Michael, and he just made a huge change. So Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're living now, and what this big change is.
So I'm going nomadic for the first time. I've always loved traveling and have been trying to do longer and longer trips and trying to build it more into my kind of life plan and my goals and what I'm doing. And so just in the past month or so, I've finished getting rid of my stuff, moving out of my place, running out my place, selling my car to another Fi friend that I met at a Camp Fi event. And that was kind of the last piece to allow me to start traveling.
Wow. Okay. So where was your last home in the U.S. that you packed everything up and decided, I'm just out of here?
I was in Salt Lake City.
Okay. Salt Lake City, Utah. And now this is not your first Fi event here in Bali. Tell me about other events that you have attended. And I guess maybe talk to other people about what you got out of those in-person events, and then just lead up to Bali and how that has been compared to the other ones.
Yes, I've been to a Camp Money Mustache where I met Amy, and then I also went to a Camp Fi in Colorado. And I think, the speakers and the schedule and the events give those structure, but like everyone else has said, it's about the conversations that you have. And so here I've been tracking down the nomads and anyone who's like solo traveling and kind of trying to find the people who can give me some insight into what I'm doing. And you pick up little tips and tricks along the way. When I was at Camp Fi, I had found out that some people had moved to South Dakota in the U.S. They changed their state residency to get better tax benefits.
Oh, I've heard that.
And so I did the same thing on my way out. I'm a South Dakota resident now because they make it easy for full-time travelers and they have no state income tax. So those are some of the things you pick up along the way.
Is most of the travel in the US or all over the world?
So I just left the US, right? I just started all this a few weeks ago, but I want to stay in Asia for a couple of months, then go back, see friends and family around the holidays, and then I want to spend next year in Europe. Maybe starting with the Canary Islands in January because the weather sounds nice.
That's some big dreams, man. What do you think?
Yeah, it's very impressive. It's pretty daunting. Michael, I want to know, how did you pull the trigger? Like, what was your enough moment to know that, hey, let's break out the Facebook marketplace listings and get all this stuff turned back into cash?
And a lot of it I just had to give away at the end. I was like, take it, take it. So, well, I feel like I had been doing some little experiments along the way. So I had done like a yoga teacher training and spent like 5 weeks in India to see, okay, what is this like? And then earlier this year, I went to Malaga, Spain for a month. And I was like, okay, well, what do I do alone in Spain for a whole month? Am I just going to be hiding in my Airbnb, or am I going to connect with people? And so I had ended up taking some Spanish classes and learning about some of the different groups that you can go to. And so I guess financially, I'd been kind of, how can I travel more? That was kind of the overall. And so my last full-time job, I'd purposefully selected out companies that were not huge companies that might have more flexible kind of terms. And so I had asked on the job interview, it was rather informal, in a nonprofit. I said, could I have maybe 3 months of vacation? And he said, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay. But then the salary number was too low. So I said, well, how about like 2 months? So we came up to an agreement. And so anyway, then I wanted to have a remote job. So now I work part-time remotely. And so I've just kind of been trying to shift to some kind of situation that would allow me to do the travel.
You got to tell us a little bit more about your FI journey. Like, it sounds like you're still working. So I guess, how do you define where you are in your FI journey right now, that you can be all over the world? And this is a company in the US that allowed you to take that is highly unusual to me. But I just want to hear more about your FI journey and like where you consider yourself, right now.
How far back do you want to go? Do you want to go to my Susie Orman days and my teens, or do you want me to fast forward a little bit?
Yeah, we did talk a lot about memories during these last few days. No, I guess, do you consider yourself financially independent today?
No, I'd say I'm FI enough.
Okay. Well, look, there's another flavor of FI. You're FI.
Or, I don't know, semi-retired. I mean, there are all sorts of different versions of it. I would say that I'm able to work part-time for maybe the next certain number of years and then go fully FI, but I'm close enough.
Okay, so you don't have to go all the way back to your childhood, although I'm sure that's fascinating too. But, so when you started your career, was the idea to just work for a short period of time, or you just kind of bumbled along to what you discovered, hey, I don't have to go to the 9 to 5 every day. I can do it different. It's just, to me, that's an evolution of thinking. So I kind of want to hear about that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I guess when I was 15 years ago, I was kind of going along with the same assumption as everyone else. So you had to work till you were 65. You take the one trip to Italy and then you kick the bucket. And I was always like, oh, like that sounds like really awful. Like, is that really the only option? And I think for a long time that really did feel like the only option. But I was always like kind of a scrimper and a saver. My mom was all about, even she's still all about the coupons. She wants to run all over town to get the rain check on the can of sodas or whatever. But so we came from a frugal household. I did start investing, when I was at my high school pizza job, put a little bit of money in the Roth IRA way back then. And I worked as a journalist, and I never made all that much money. So I was low, below average kind of wage earner, but I would save a lot of that money, like save. And I would start my spreadsheets and I'd calculate my savings rate. And in 2019, I spent just $13,000 the whole year on everything.
Where did you live?
A moldy basement in Salt Lake.
A moldy. So okay. So he said the moldy basement first, because if you would have started out with Seattle, I'm like, Seattle, $13,000. That doesn't. So you found a way to make it work in Seattle. Salt Lake City. Okay. Would you consider that a high cost of living area? Moderate? Okay. Okay. Not one of the really low ones, not really one of the highest ones. So what did you do as a journalist?
I told people about murders and city council meetings. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, that was actually my major journalism, and I wanted to be a news reporter. And I did it on the weekends for a little bit, not very long. And I can attest that there's not a lot of money unless you get to the bigger markets, right? That was the career path. You would go to bigger and bigger markets, and eventually you'll end up in an Atlanta market or New York City or something like that. So that's cool. So you had a cool reporting job. That's neat. Okay. So keep the story going. I'm totally in.
I mean, the journalism was a lot of fun and stress and adrenaline, but it also meant nights, weekends, holidays, and the news is at 10 or 11 p.m., while people are at home and you're at work. So working all in the evenings and stuff. So I had been trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I get out of this? And so I had taken up a side hustle of how can I transition my journalism skills into like PR marketing type of skills. And so I had found some self-published authors to try to get them some publicity and did a little bit of that. And then that led to a PR marketing job at a nonprofit where I worked full time and got the 2 months of vacation and a trip to Africa, right?
So I may have to connect with you. I'm an author, so I did self-publishing, and there's a lot of cool stuff. So everyone else in the audience and everyone else is listening, this is a guy, he's a FI guy that has some skills there that might be helpful for a lot of people in the FI community. So I had no idea that was your field. So good to see. We got a lot of talent here in the FI community for sure. So let's get to the place where you're like, I can go nomadic. I don't know how to label this or what to call it, but I'm doing it. Like, how are you framing that? And I guess letting it sink in your own head.
Yeah. Well, I guess I had been of the mindset of, okay, let's keep the foot on the gas. Let's get as much money as quickly as possible and make myself sacrifice as much as possible. But I'm like, do I really want to do that for 5 or more years? And that also didn't kind of square with me. So I was attracted to the SoFi type groups, and I was like, okay, wow, like every time you have a certain amount saved, you're kind of unlocking new capabilities and new opportunities. And so I wanted to take advantage of more of those rather than just, okay, I'm going to wait for 5 or 10 years in the future and then suddenly have something going on for me that I'm really happy with. And so I can't remember the rest of your question, but that was kind of...
I was just really enjoying hearing your story and having you roll through it. But I guess the bottom line is you end up in Bali. Okay. So what came on your radar to where you said, I'm just going to Bali? You did a few small US FI events, and now you're doing the big thing in Bali. And I do want to hear about what you're enjoying and all of that too. But how did you arrive at being one of the attendees here?
Well, I had met Amy near Seattle at one of those events, and she said she was living overseas, and I had not really heard that flavor of FI people before, the travel FI folks. And so I was like, oh, I mean, all of FI is like kind of an escape room, and you find a little door, you're going out, and you're like, what's over here?
Amy's pretty convincing too, right?
And so I was like, wow, I wonder if I could maybe live somewhere overseas. And wow, if it were cheaper, maybe I could do it more quickly. And wow, I don't know if I want to just go one place, but maybe I can go a lot of different places. And how much does it cost me to travel? And
the bell's going off.
Yeah. And so I was just kind of thinking about opportunities and possibilities. So I'd kind of set this timeline of at the end of this year, I was going to start traveling. I had this home and a roommate, and I thought she would stay till the end of this year. It'd be more convenient for me, but she didn't think of it that way. She wanted to do what's best for her. Can imagine that. So she kept bumping up her timeline for when she was getting out. And I was like, well, I guess I'll have to bump up my timeline too. So anyway, I had a renter found and in place for August 1st. And so I had to be out of there. And then I had a couple of weeks to tie things up. And then I'm like, let's do it. Now, I don't really know what that means. I'm nomadic, and everyone's saying, are you homeless? And I'm like, no.
Is it even important for you to have the answer to that question? You know, are you enjoying just exploring and just kind of going with the flow? I mean, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but then they make you question, right?
Yeah.
They'll say, "Are you homeless?" And then I had one friend who said, "No, she doesn't say she's homeless; she's houseless." You know, which I think is a nice, more positive reframing. But if I tell my dad, "No, I'm not homeless," and he says, "Well, you're kind of homeless," I said, "No, I'm not homeless." Okay, well, you're kind of homeless. I'm like, okay, well. I'm whatever makes you feel comfortable.
I can see how other people will get stuck on making you label yourself something. But I think it's kind of cool that you get to float around. And I have a very personal motive because I am thinking about kind of doing the same thing. I still have to digest it all. So I might be hitting you up for some tips. Okay.
Michael, I want to know, mate. So are you coast fi? Are you drawing down on your portfolio? And like with your work, do they know you're working from here? Are you like dialing in on Zoom calls and you're like on the beach and you're just like sitting in background to make it look like you're in an office, or like what's going on there?
No, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with SoFi, but there's like actually like 8 different levels, or there's like a lot more levels than just coast fi and fi. And so I'm somewhere in between those two. I'm not drawing down my accounts, but I could probably do that in a few years from now if I wanted to. But I'm happy working part-time, which is still covering all the expenses, and I'm still saving a little bit. So I guess I don't find it more important to define more specifically beyond that. But anyway, the job that I have is part-time, it's remote, and there aren't a lot of Zoom meetings and things like that. It's mostly on my own time. And so that, although there was a 1:30 a.m. Zoom meeting a few days ago, that's kind of one of the sacrifices you have to make, especially if you're going to travel in Asia versus US times. It's different if you're in Europe versus US times. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a fortunate position to have. And so, but I had been kind of, right, I think like once you start looking for what are the opportunities that are going to work for what I want from my lifestyle, then I do think that they start popping up because you just eliminate the stuff that's not going to work for you.
Yeah, it's really inspiring, mate. And you definitely come across as really at peace with yourself and your process. And I think, again, so much of like fire and the fire movement it's really mindset. It's not really so much about the dollars or the numbers. It's really about your attitude towards it. So it's really inspiring, mate. So I'm really glad you came up and shared your story. What I'd love to ask, if you had a lesson or some advice that you could pass on to the listeners, what would your top tip be, mate?
Yeah, don't delay gratification forever. Most FI people think about running out of money a lot more than they think about running out of life.
You left us with a deep one there. Thank you so much for joining us. This was amazing. Go enjoy Bali.
Okay, and we're joined by Val, who's one of the attendees here and joining from Hong Kong. Yeah, all the way from Hong Kong. Thanks for coming up and joining us on the podcast. How are you going tonight?
Yeah, really good. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to discover the FI community?
So there isn't, as far as I'm aware, there isn't a huge FI community in Hong Kong. I came across Mr. Money Mustache, I think was probably one of the first ones, maybe similar to you, 2015, 2016. But I didn't do anything with it. I don't think I opened my first brokerage account until maybe 2 or 3 years later. And then, as like everyone here, got immersed in the various podcasts, Choose a FI and all the others. And yeah, just that's how I kind of first heard about it, and just it's like a rabbit hole.
That's fantastic. And so what's your goal and where are you on your journey?
That's a good question. I find that the goalposts keep shifting for me personally. I think that's my issues rather than the 1 more year syndrome. It's kind of, I keep pushing out, like you reach a milestone and then you're like, oh, maybe I want to go a little bit further. So I'm not really sure. And I was talking to some of the other attendees here about some of the financial kind of planners and advisors that they've sought help from to be more organized, to figure out exactly where they are. And I guess that's my situation. I mean, I think I probably could be FI, but I want to be fat FI. And so if it's fat FI, then not yet. But my current situation is I quit my job a few months ago.
We got to stop on that one.
Yeah.
We love when people say that. I just quite
Big action is awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't an impulsive move. I had been thinking about for a long time for a variety of reasons, but I'm going to at least take a gap year, which I've never done before. I've never taken a career break, to travel and tick off a bunch of things off my personal bucket list. But I probably would like to, at some point in time, go back to some form of work. I just haven't figured out that piece yet.
Yeah, time and space to breathe is really important. When I reflect on my own FI journey, I felt like definitely I can relate to like stopping full-time work and feeling like just diving off that cliff into floating and the unknown, and then like desperately grasping on to something and then having that taken away and again feeling floating. So I am a massive proponent for like gradually ramping down work or part-time work. I think finding something with really good balance is definitely what strikes a chord with me. And so I think you're doing all the right things. So how did you end up here in Bali? Have you been to a FI event before, or tell us a little bit about how you came to be here today?
No, I've never been to a FI event. So actually, that's one thing in Hong Kong I've always really wanted to have access to a FI community. I always hear about these, US-based FI podcasts and all these US events, but I'm not aware of any in Hong Kong or even in Asia. I'm not really aware of any. Maybe that's just because I'm not looking hard enough. So I don't recall which podcast it was where I heard about Amy's retreat. It was definitely one of the podcasts. It might have been Choose FI. I'm not really sure, but I'd heard about it and I jumped on the opportunity. I remember like when I first heard about it was when I was still working, and it was for the previous year's retreat. And so I knew I couldn't make that, but I already I think it was like 18 months before this one that I was like, I'm definitely going to the next one. And I had it scheduled that as soon as it opened, I would like pounce on it and get a ticket. So and before that, I actually came across, this was definitely on the Choose FI podcast, someone called Jillian Johns-Rood, who has a podcast called Retire Often.
Yes, and her book actually just got released. I was about to say, it looks like you're enjoying you can call it a sabbatical or mini retirement.
Yes.
I love it. Okay. I was thinking along those lines as well. So that was something that resonated with you.
Yes,
right? Okay.
Very much so. And I actually did the group coaching program online with Jillian Johns-Rood. And so, this was all when I was still working, and all things eventually led to Bali.
Fantastic. And how have you found the week so far?
It's been amazing. The conversations are so different to, like any other. I have never been to a FI event. I don't have many friends who I at least outwardly identify as FI or, talk about FI. And in Hong Kong, when I tell people what FI, like when I mention FI, they're like, what's that? And then when I explain to them, they're like, sounds like a cult.
I mean, it kind of is.
Or like, sounds like a Ponzi scheme. I'm like, no, it really isn't. So it's been amazing. I really, really, really enjoyed, I'm really enjoying the conversations because they're so different to the normal conversation. People are just so willing to talk about their numbers and like that normal, like, even with close friends, you don't often talk about
kind of taboo.
Yeah. You don't talk about money in such an open way. Right. And I really enjoyed the PKP community talk and session this morning. I was very moved by that.
So I want to hear a little bit more about what you plan on doing during this gap year.
Okay. So I'm 5 months in and I've done a lot. I'm actually very proud of all the things I've ticked off my personal bucket list already. I feel like I've lived several lifetimes in the 5 months that I've already taken off. And when I think about it, I actually have lived several lifetimes because at work, I get 4 weeks of paid annual leave, 20 days paid. Well, I did get 20 days paid annual leave a year, which is 4 weeks. But 2 of those weeks I'd usually spend, going to travel to see my husband's family in Spain. So usually it's just 2 weeks a year. And I just spent 11 weeks in Europe. So I have lived several lifetimes in the past 5 months, and it's been fucking amazing. Like it's been the best thing I've ever done.
Wow.
It really has.
I mean, that is pretty powerful. And I think it's a testament to the fact that you don't have to be full-fledged. It sounds like this break has been just life-changing for you. And that really makes a difference. So to be able to either take the break or do it temporarily or coast-fi, we've heard a lot of different ways to do it. And I think that's awesome. I got a chance to chat with you a little bit, and hopefully I will get a chance to chat with everyone. But it's just like you said, people are so open. We've all been to a lot of corporate conferences and events, and they're a little stuffy. And this is like just the opposite. And it's just so cool. And it's not even just about the numbers, although people are very free with their numbers. It's like we've got to some deeper inner work. And what you just said to me was just so profound. And I think it will resonate with a lot of people, as it did with me as well.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the breakout sessions too. I know, Val, we had a really cool chat earlier today about side hustles and passive income, and maybe what isn't passive income streams. So yeah, it's been wonderful. Is there something you might have picked up or a lesson that you've learned along your FI journey so far that you would pass on to our listeners?
Yeah, one thing that really resonated with me, which Michael was talking about, and I have the exact same feeling, is don't put off things you want to do. Like, I was saving a lot of things to do, not saving a lot of money. I was saving a lot of things to do for my gap year, because this was like, I always knew I wanted to do it for a very long time, but I knew I wanted to work for a little bit more. So I was like, look, I don't want to keep putting this off forever. So I found ways to have little experiments, like do the group coaching program with Jillian Jones-Rood. I extend, when I was on one of my last family trips to Spain with my husband, I was still working. I spent a few days in Copenhagen on my own to just get a sense of what traveling alone would be like. And I knew I wanted to see more of Scandinavia. So that was my kind of first taste of it. I did a family trip with my parents when I was still working over a long weekend to Wuhan. Everyone nowadays knows where Wuhan is, because that's where my mom's family was originally from. And it's a trip that we'd been talking about doing for many, many years, but just never did. And I was like, we're going to do it. And so I did a lot of like mini kind of trips or experiences rather than saving everything for the gap year. And I think it also helps you refine your break plan. And I'm actually pretty proud of my break plan. I think it's been very well planned out, and it's very, very full. I'm doing a lot of things in the next 12 months.
That's awesome. It reminds me of a dirty joke, but I don't know if I can say it on the podcast.
Wait till we stop recording, Gabriel. It's getting dark over here.
No, there's definitely.
Dirty joke later.
Yeah, no, there's some things you don't want. You don't want to save certain things up for retirement. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah, look. Val, it's awesome hearing you talk about having breaks. And I think it's super important, because like I can talk from my personal experience of like burnout. And I wish I could have had this conversation maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, because I definitely was like all or nothing on my journey and put a lot of pressure on myself. And so it's really refreshing to hear stories like from yourself and from Michael and from other people at the retreat. Like, hey, you don't have to really be going 110%, and it's okay to make time for yourself for it to be sustainable. Yeah. If it's not sustainable, it's not something you're going to stick with, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a wonderful Australian FI author. Her name is Lacey Philippich, and she talks a lot about these mini sabbaticals. In fact, like she has this awesome TED talk, and I think it's of that like title around taking sabbaticals, and it's really inspiring. And so I first heard that concept from her, and I was blown away. So I wish it's something that I had done in my career, and I think it's awesome that you're doing it. So look, thanks so much for coming. It's brave to come up in front of everyone here today and talk on the pod. So really appreciate you having the courage to come up and chat today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Val. You're awesome. So Captain Fi, that was so awesome, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, we've just got such a wealth of experience and knowledge in the audience. It's very humbling. It's amazing.
Yeah. And even though we've chatted with most people, it was kind of cool that when they came behind the mic, we got to know them even better. And how many countries do you think we have represented here? I want to say, what do you think?
It's like 10, 12 more.
I was thinking 20. No, I always think high, but
no, that's just the amount of countries that Claire has lived in.
Oh yeah, right. So Amy's telling us about 8 or 9. Okay, so 9 countries in one room in Bali. We're both from different countries, and I think we're all still speaking the same language. So this was amazing. It was amazing to have you doing this with me. Bill, don't get jealous. Because I put him on I love to see him turn red. And we were talking to a New York Times reporter one time. And I don't know why she got on this subject, but she was like, because I'm single, she's like, well, so how's dating? I heard that there's like a dating website. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not really into that. And I just thought it was a weird question. So when there's a strange question that I'm uncomfortable about, I just try to make someone else uncomfortable. So I said, well, I do have a thing for old bald guys. And I was looking at but this is too much fun. We'll continue telling the jokes.
You're going to make me turn red.
Oh.
So I cannot leave Bali without talking to you, Amy. We are live in Bali, Indonesia, and I'm here with the founder of Phi Freedom Retreats. Amy, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful experience. We're in the tail end, and I guess I just want everybody to know that I wish that everyone could experience this. Can you tell us a little bit about like the overall experience, maybe things that you can't even see like on the website? It's so hard to describe.
Yeah, well, what I love about this retreat is it's really international. Like we had people from 8 different countries on this last retreat. So we really get to meet people and friends from all over the world. Yeah. And then it's like these connections that they build and people are thinking, okay, I'm going to meet you here. I want to come see you in Dubai, or I want to come see you in Ireland or the UK or Australia. And so one thing I love about it is it's truly international. Yeah. And the other thing I love is it's longer than the average Phi event. So, you know, the actual Phi event, Phi Freedom Retreats, is 5 days long. But I encourage people to come early. People went.
I came early.
Yes.
I'm staying late. I just can't believe that I came all the way here. All these people came out. How many people did we have total?
We had 48.
48 people. Yeah. So I got to know every single one of them, and they were all more well-traveled than me. So if you're not used to traveling, that's okay. You held our hand. You're so organized. You're an international school teacher, so you got those skills. I kept thinking, I wish everyone can experience this. Even if you wanted to slow down your Phi journey a little bit, to kind of immerse yourself with a long trip like this with other Phi people that are enjoying the slower pace. It was just life-changing for me.
Oh, thank you so much, Jackie. I'm so honored to have you here. And it was so great that you can come and speak at both events and stay for a whole month.
I know, I was out of my comfort zone. And, you know, one of the speakers, James, talked about being out of your comfort zone. And I was totally out of my comfort zone. And then right now we're on this island, Limbangan, right? We've got the ocean in the background. The waves are hitting the cliff. And that's what I'm waking up to every morning. Like, this has been transformational. And I just would like more people to experience something like this. And that's why I wanted to try to give a little bit of the essence and what you get from getting out of your comfort zone. I'm halfway around the country. Right now, it's roughly 11 a.m. Limbangan time. It is 11 p.m. Eastern time where I live in Ohio.
So amazing. Yeah, it's been so great to have you here. And you know, what's been great is like we've really gotten to know each other because of the, like, you know, before people came, or say people landed very early, you know, there was a climbing Mount Batur, biking event, also biking through Bali.
Like, you are the tour guide extraordinaire, I can tell you that. It's awesome.
Yeah, right through rice paddies, down, little kids waving, hello, you know, so cute, see all the little villages. And then cooking class. Did you take part in the cooking class?
I didn't do the cooking class yet, but I'm going to do the jewelry making.
Oh, so
cool.
All
of those, you're just chatting with your new friend. And I guess the other thing is that I notice how chill everyone is. The vibe is so cool. They're relaxing. It's just slowing it down. You know, back home, it's the hustle and bustle. It's like the laundry's calling. I got to do this. I got to do that. And this time out was so important, and you could feel that with everyone. And that was the feedback. You know, we were sitting with a couple this morning that we had this wonderful time with, and he was just saying, you know what, if this is what retiring early is, it's just so chill. And he says it's life-changing, and it really, really is. So I just wanted to take a moment to kind of get you to share what the experience is here. You know, I know what I feel. We're going to talk to some of the attendees and things like that, but you have created something very, very special, Amy.
Thank you. Yeah, and if people want to come, I mean, I would just say Bali is so safe. The people
Yeah,
are
it is.
really nice.
I wasn't used to leaving my doors open at night, but
Yeah.
it is. They're so sweet. We didn't even have to check in and pay when we came here to this island. We'll pay on the way out, but I'm like, Amy, don't we have to pay? So a lot of this is just like so out of my zone, but it has been, like I said, just life changing.
Yeah, and come for longer, come
Yeah.
snorkeling with us, come to the islands with us, because then you're actually spending, like, we've had, like, actually 3 times as long. It's more than the 5
Yeah.
days. It's pre and post, and
Yeah.
really having deep connections around the pool, and, over sunset cocktails and village tours. We went to a water
Oh yeah, that was
ceremony.
beautiful.
We went rafting.
Yes, we went rafting. The rafting was so much fun. I loved it. I mean, we're in the jungle. It's just the openness and just such an experience on things that I never thought I would be doing. So this is the life. I love that we have you taking us all around, and you have shown us every nook and cranny all over Bali, and you just cannot get better than that. I feel like I'm getting like a bonus tour guide. You've been amazing.
Well, I love Bali, and I love the Balinese people, and my goal is, like, how can I benefit these people, this island, show people things like little villages that they couldn't have seen otherwise, support a cause that I care about, bring in, like, Balinese. I bring in 2 Balinese speakers as well, talking about what they're doing to improve the situation in Bali. So I'm so honored that you came, and you created such a great speech that was super interactive. Like, that's the whole goal, is to make it interactive for participants.
We were talking about the money egg exercise, which I don't get a chance to do a lot, but this was the moment to tap into people's memories and the non-financial side. And I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do it, because it was pretty amazing. I was very kind of taken aback at how impactful it was for some people. So that meant a lot. Yeah. Well, Amy, this was so awesome to have you here, and I just wanted you to give us a brief summary. You will do it in 2026, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to be another amazing retreat in 2026, and consider treating yourself and enjoying just a beautiful experience like this. So what is the website?
So it's FiveFreedomRetreats.com with an S on the end. And I would encourage people, even if they can't come, next year, sign up for the mailing list, because it does sell out last year in 8 minutes.
It does. I was about to say that. It does sell out quickly, but it's not something that's not reachable for almost anyone. It's open to the public. It's not some super secret club or anything. It's open to everyone. So if you've thought about it, you deserve it. Treat yourself. Like you said, it doesn't have to be next year, even the year after, but it's a life-changing experience. And I think anyone that you talk to will say the same thing. So Amy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for being our speaker here and leading our case studies and all the work that you did, Live from Bali podcast episodes. And
well, I loved it all. I loved it all, Amy. This was just truly amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been so much fun, live from Bali. We want to thank you guys for joining us. Our audience has been amazing, which are now our 50 new friends that we have, right? And it's been such a great time. Now, I'm going to be getting a massage. Are you going to get a massage?
I have been looking forward to that all week.
Yeah, so we got to go. We're going to enjoy lovely Bali. So we're going to get our massages, and we're going to enjoy the rest of the time with our 50 new friends. We're out. We'll catch you next time on Catching Up to Fi. So, Bill, as you know, we cannot do this show without our amazing staff and the people that help us put this on. And our editor is Fritz Brazard. We love them, and they keep us going.
Yeah, Jackie, I mean, this show wouldn't have the quality it has without our folks, our peeps. And we'd also like to give you a few calls to action for the show. We love our community, and we hope you love us back. If you would like to support the show and our mission to help late starters, you can do that at Buy Me a Coffee, which is a platform that allows you to make a donation. The link is in the show notes and on the website.
Check out the show notes for resources mentioned in today's show. Also, head on over to our website at catchinguptofi.com and check out our vetted resources, partners, and affiliates for discounts and their services, because we love sharing great deals.
Please share the show with others and head on over to our Facebook community to help us grow. If you prefer video, head on over to YouTube and watch the show there. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Catching Up to Fi. We would appreciate it if you could also leave us a 5-star review to help our message reach others.
And while we are financial educators that love to teach, remember that our content is for general education and information purposes only. We are not providing financial, legal, or tax advice. Always do your own research or consult a professional before making important decisions.
So, Jackie, we'll see our audience next time on Catching Up to Fi. Cheers.